If you're an animal lover who's looking for a fun and flexible way to make some extra cash, then this video is for you. I've been working professionally in the pet care industry for a little over 2 years now, and I'm here to share some of my thoughts on pet sitting and dog walking. In this video, we're going to break down both the pros and the cons of pet sitting and dog walking. We'll also break down what you need to get started and how much money you can realistically expect to make. Stick around to the end of the video. I'm sharing all my secrets and you're not going to want to miss anything that we have for you today. Let's start first with pet sitting and then we'll get to dog walking later on in the video. So what exactly is pet sitting? Simply put, it's caring for pets while their owners are away. This can range from feeding and walking dogs to staying overnight with pets or even providing medical care for animals with special needs. It's basically like babysitting except for pets. Now that you know what pet sitting is, let's dive into whether or not it's a good side hustle. First, we'll start out with the pros. The first pro is flexibility. Pet sitting is truly one of the most flexible side hustles out there. You can choose your clients, set your specific schedule, and work as much or as little as you want. Whether you're a student, a stay-at-home parent, or someone with a full-time job, pet sitting can easily fit into your lifestyle and it can be a great way to make some extra cash. Specifically, it's great for people that work from home because you can be doing your full-time job during the day while you're watching the dog, and then at night you're also being paid to be there. Another big plus about pet sitting is the low startup cost. You really don't need an office, any fancy equipment, or really anything to start. You can buy some basic supplies like leashes and bowls, but that's really for dog walking. When you're pet sitting, you really just show up to the people's homes. And typically they're going to have everything that you need to take care of that pet. All right, next is the emotional benefits that you get from pet sitting. Spending time with pets can be incredibly rewarding. Studies show that interacting with pets can reduce your stress, lower blood pressure, and even improve your mood. I mean, it's pretty hard to be sad when you're hanging out with dogs. So you're really getting paid to boost your mental health. I mean, this is a no-brainer. Finally, the demand is super high. After 2020, so many more people have pets, and the need for pet care is through the roof. People are always traveling, having busy schedules where they can't get home to feed their pets, and the need for reliable pet sitters truly is growing. Apps like Rover and Wag make it easier now than ever to get connected with people that need help caring for their animals. Now that we've talked about some of the pros, let's talk about some of the cons because there are some drawbacks to pet sitting. One of the downsides is it can be a bit of an unpredictable schedule. For example, if your client goes out of town for 2 or 3 weeks, yes, you're making a lot of money, but then that means that you have to be there. You might have to cancel other plans that you have like dinners or anything else, and it really could take a toll on your schedule. You also might need to work weekends, holidays, or early mornings depending on the dog's needs. I can tell you right now, I've done plenty of holidays, early mornings, and it can be a bit of a drag sometimes. But like I said, you're making great money, so it really is worth it. If you're somebody that values consistent hours and you really like a routine, then this may be a bit of a challenge for you. Also, if you're trying to turn your side hustle into a full-time business, this can be a little bit challenging because when you're a pet sitter, people really care about you. What I've found is that it's really hard to replicate you and your own personality because that's what your clients are going to fall in love with. You can train people and you can bring people into the team to help you, but honestly, no one's going to do it better than you because of the relationship that you build with a client and how much you care about their pets. Now, I know it's required to hire talent to build a business, but it just seems a bit harder in the pet industry when it's very personalized and people are extremely particular about who cares for their pets. Another thing to consider is physical demands. If you have to walk the dogs, clean litter boxes, or just caring for high energy pets, this can be a bit demanding. Some clients are going to be easier than others, but one thing that I've noticed when I've sat pets in the past is that you're always on edge and thinking about the pets. So let's say if you go to the grocery store, you're always thinking about, are they doing okay at home? Did they go to the restroom inside the house? You really can't relax when you're pet sitting. The thought of the pets is always in the back of your mind, which is good. That means that you care about them, but also it can be a bit taxing. There's also the responsibility factor. You're taking care of somebody's beloved pet, which can be very stressful. Especially if people are paying you a lot of money to watch them, you need to make sure that you're on the top of your game. For example, if an animal gets sick or has special care requirements, you'll need to handle it with care and professionalism, and this is what's really going to set you apart from other sitters. Lastly, let's talk about money. Earnings really do depend on your location. I'm a bit hesitant to give a range because it really can vary widely, depending on your location, services that you provide, and other factors. But generally, in a big city, I would say that you can command anywhere from $50 a night to $150 per night. Now, you might start out on the lower end, but as you get more and more reviews, you will be more and more in demand, and you can command a higher price for your services. And if you're in that upper echelon of dog sitters and you're in a very affluent area, I've seen people get paid over $200 a night just to watch one dog. So this can be a very lucrative endeavor if all of these different factors come together perfectly. Next, I'll give you some tips on how to get started if you think that pet sitting is for you. Step 1 is to create a profile on Wag, Rover, or Care.com. Now you need to make sure that your profile stands out, and there's a couple ways to do that. Obviously, you need to talk about any relevant experience. You need to talk about your love for animals. And the most important, I think, is to have a clear profile picture. This can really set you apart because a lot of people on these apps just take selfies or they're with a dog and you can't really see them because they're in a shadow. But if you have a great profile picture, this is going to make all the difference. Also, if you have any certifications like pet CPR or first aid, you can include these on your profile as well. Step 2 is to set your rates. You need to do some research on this to see what the market rate is in your specific area. Like I said, it's really going to range anywhere from $50 a night to $150 plus. When you're first starting out, you probably want to be in the lower tier of that threshold because you want to make sure that you can get some reps in and have some reviews that will help propel you further down the line. Step 3 is to market yourself. Social media really is your best friend here. Everyone loves when you post on Instagram with cute dogs. Trust me, this is how I've gotten a lot of clients. My friends will see it and they'll say, hey, my mom's actually looking for a pet sitter this weekend. Can they reach out to you? And then I just say yes, of course. Trust me, spread the word with just a couple selfies of you and some cute dogs, and this will go very far. Another thing you might consider here is doing something like a TikTok ad. We'll actually leave a link down below to get started with TikTok ads, and it might be a good idea to target your specific area with an ad that shares your services. Step number 4 is start small. Take on a few clients, get a little bit of a feel for it to see if you even like it. Like I said, a lot of people don't like being away from home. They like routine. So it may be a little bit of an adjustment at first. So how much can you realistically make as a pet sitter? Like I said, on average, you're going to make anywhere from $50 to $150 per night, depending on where you live and the services that you provide. If you're consistent and reliable, you can make upwards of $1,000 to $2,000 per month. I know a couple people that actually do this. So it's not that bad, especially if you have a client that's very easy to handle and you can do your work at their house. It's really not a bad gig, especially if you like animals. Before we wrap this section up and talk about dog walking, I'll just give you a couple last tips for pet sitting. So no brainer is you want to be super communicative with your clients. Be sure to send them updates, pictures. I've even seen people take pictures of their pets and then leave the printed out picture on the table when you leave. That's a nice touch and can really go a long way. And it can help you get tipped a little extra as well. Another tip is just to always go the extra mile. Whether it's communication, picking up dog poop in the back, making sure the place is cleaner than you left it, all of these little things will not only help build your reliability with your clients, but it'll also help you build your reputation for referrals. And like I said, it can help you get more money too with tips. In summary, pet sitting can be a flexible, rewarding, and lucrative side hustle. If you love pets and don't mind the occasional challenge, then it's going to be a great fit for you. I've really enjoyed my time pet sitting. It's a very lucrative and pretty simple job, but you do have to deal with the discomfort of living in somebody else's house and having to bring all the things that you need to live there. All that to say, there are some trade-offs. If you're a person of routine like myself, pet sitting may be a bit challenging because you'll have to deal with the uncertainty that comes with staying in somebody else's place. I personally don't do pet sitting anymore because my schedule doesn't allow for it now, but while I was doing it, it was a lot of fun and very lucrative. All right, now let's talk about dog walking. So what exactly does dog walking entail? Dog walking is really exactly what it sounds. It's taking dogs out for exercise, fresh air, and potty breaks when their owners are not home. Now, this can be anywhere from a quick 15-minute walk or a 60-minute long adventure. Depending on the energy level of the pup, this is really going to vary and what the client thinks that the dog needs. It's simple, rewarding, and in high demand, and trust me, people pay a lot more for this than you might think. Let's start with some of the pros. First, again, like pet sitting, it's super flexible. You can schedule your walks around your own commitments, making it perfect for students, stay-at-home parents, or even people with a full-time job. For example, I have my schedule set up that I have some walks in the morning, and then I have a little break for the gym and lunch, and then I go back to some walks in the afternoon. And honestly, all of my clients are super flexible. If I ever have anything that comes up, I just ask to move the walks to the afternoon or the morning, and it's no big deal at all. Now, if you have a dog that's home alone all day and it needs to be taken out at a certain time, this is a different story. But a lot of my clients work from home and they just pay me to take their dog out when they really could do it themselves, so it doesn't really matter what time I get there. The second pro with dog walking is that the startup costs are very minimal. All you really need are a comfortable pair of shoes, some sturdy leashes, and waist bags. Some walkers even invest in things like treat pouches and extra leashes, which you'll eventually have down the line if you get serious with dog walking, but when you're just starting out, you don't need any of that. Number 3, and one of my favorites, is health benefits. I cannot tell you how much my life has changed from being cooped up inside an office to being outside in the fresh air all day long. Walking dogs isn't just good for getting them exercise, it's great for getting you out and about as well. It's an easy way to stay active, get some vitamin D, and enjoy the great outdoors. This has truly been one of the biggest game changers for my mental health over the past 2 years. I walk about 10 miles every single day, and I've literally never felt better in my life. I will never go back to being cooped up in an office all day, and I really do enjoy just being out in nature. Okay, the last pro here is the emotional perks. Let's face it, dogs are pretty awesome. Spending time with them can lower your stress, reduce blood pressure, and truly just enhance your mood overall. Plus, I've built friendships with some of my clients that I know I'm going to have for the rest of my life. A lot of them truly see me as family because I care for their pets, and I think that's a really cool thing. Okay, now for some of the cons, because dog walking isn't always just a walk in the park. One of the big challenges is weather. Now, I don't deal with this as much because I'm in sunny Southern California, but if you live in Seattle, I feel bad for you. Rain, snow, heat, dogs need to be walked either way, but it can get challenging in some conditions. I remember a couple years back, it rained literally from October all the way through February, and I remember just being miserable out there, completely wet all the time. So if you live in a place like Seattle where it's always raining, or somewhere hot like in Austin during the summer, be prepared and have a plan to deal with these extreme weather conditions. Another factor is the physical demand. Walking multiple dogs, especially if they're larger, can be a bit exhausting. Now, fortunately, you can vary the amount of dogs that you walk based on your comfort level, and you can even start with 1 or 2 and then work your way up to 3, 4, or 5. So it's really important to be confident in your ability to manage them safely. On one of my walks, I walk like 4 really big dogs, and it gets a bit much sometimes. That's because one of them is 130 pounds, but that's another story for another day. At this point, I'm comfortable doing group walks of anywhere between 3 and 5 dogs. But like I said, when you're just starting out, you could start with 1 or 2. And what's great about walking dogs is you can walk as many as you feel comfortable with. There's this famous young guy in Japan who walks like 30 little dogs at once, and I can only imagine how much money this guy is making. These are my idols in the dog walking space, okay? These are the top echelon of dog walkers. One day I hope to get to that level. Okay, next is the responsibility. Owners trust you with their pets, and that's a really big deal. You need to be attentive, reliable, and be able to handle the pets in any situation. Especially when you're walking 3 or more dogs, you won't be able to be on your phone. You really have to pay attention to the dogs to make sure they don't eat anything, poop anywhere they're not supposed to poop, bite anything they're not supposed to bite. It really takes a lot of attention. Finally, earnings can really vary, again, depending on your experience and your location. I would say general dog walking rates are between $15 to $30 per 30 minutes. But like I said, this can vary greatly if you're in the middle of Arkansas versus in a city like LA. I fortunately live near a pretty affluent area, and I can charge upwards of $40 per hour per client. All right, if you're still interested in dog walking, let's walk through some steps for how to get started. Step number 1, sign up for WAG or Rover. You'll have to go through a background check and a couple other things in order to get started. But once you're on the app, the requests will just start coming through. And be sure to accept the first couple requests because that's how they work their algorithm. You need to make sure that you're accepting those first ones that they send you. Number 2, just like pet sitting, build a strong profile. Put some great pictures of yourself. Don't put any weird photos where they can't see your face. Make sure that it's all appropriate and that they can see everything and that you can show them that you really do love animals. Step number 3 is going to be to set your rates. You need to research what dog walkers charge in your area. And when you start out, you should be on the lower end of that until you get enough reviews and you prove that you're reliable, and then you can kind of increase your rate over time. Step 4 is to invest in the basics. A reliable leash, reliable waste bags. Trust me, do not skimp out on these. One of them will break if you buy cheap bags, and you'll have a very bad experience with that. So don't do that. Comfortable shoes are also great, as well as some treat pouches. Those are extra. You don't need those, but it'll help. Step number 5 is to spread the word about your dog walking. You can do this by flyering. You can post on Nextdoor Neighbor. I see a lot of people doing that. It's a smart idea. Join local community groups. Maybe go to your neighborhood council meeting. Get creative with putting yourself out there. So how much can you actually earn as a dog walker? On average, dog walkers make, like we said, between $15 to $30 per walk. If you walk multiple dogs at a time and each client is paying you that average of $20, you can easily make a couple $100 per day. Now, it's really hard to nail down exactly a range here. I would say anywhere between $1,000 to $4,000 or $5,000 per month if you're on that upper echelon of dog walkers. If you're doing a couple group walks a day with 5 to 10 dogs each, you're going to be raking it in. And I see people in my area doing this. They pick up a bunch of dogs, they put them in a van, and they go down to the peninsula and they walk all 15 dogs at once. It really depends on your experience, your comfort level in handling that many dogs, and the area that you live in or are willing to drive to. You can really make some decent money here, especially when you get good at doing group walks and you can have 5 to 10 dogs per walk. Let's go through some of the tips for success when dog walking. Number 1, and the most important, is be reliable. Show up on time, follow any instructions from the owner, and be consistent, because this is going to build trust. I really think that this is one of the biggest reasons why I can charge such a premium compared to my competitors, is because I'm always on time. And if I'm not, I'll communicate it with the client, and I'm reliable. I'm going to take the dog on a nice walk. Nothing's going to happen out of the ordinary. I'm going to send them pictures. It's very consistent and reliable. Tip number 2 is to keep the dog safe. Always use a sturdy leash. Be mindful of where the dog is going. Be careful of any other dogs. Be careful of potential hazards, and know how the dog is going to react when it sees another dog or something else that might startle it. Anticipate how you're going to act in that situation. Number 3 is communicate with the owners. At the end of every walk, I always send a recap. I send pictures. This really helps build rapport with your clients, and they love getting pictures of their dog. It's just going to make a strong impression. Do this every time, trust me, and you're going to be a super successful dog walker. Tip number 4 is to go that extra mile. So an example of this is when it's raining outside, I always keep towels in my car. That way I can grab them at the end of the walk, I can wipe off the dog and then give them to the client super clean. This is something that they didn't expect, and it's nice to bring them home nice and clean. Okay, step number 5, and one of the most important ones in making money, is go to the affluent areas. So I have to drive about 15 to 20 minutes from my home to go to this gated community, but this is where a large portion of my clientele is that's paying me over $40 an hour to walk dogs. So what I recommend is flyering these communities, introduce yourself to the homeowners, and it's going to make all the difference. In summary, dog walking is flexible, enjoyable, and can be super lucrative if you do it correctly. It's a great side hustle and can be a perfect gig for you if you don't mind the occasional challenges. Okay, that is all we have for you today on our video of pet sitting and dog walking. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, please leave us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. This channel is dedicated to providing you free videos and resources on the best side hustles out there. Thank you so much for watching. We wish you the best, and we will see you again in the next video.